my channel, the best place to be wherever you are on your wealth journey right now. Today I want to talk about 3 savings mistakes that might be hurting your money. But before I talk about that, I want to just say that if you are interested in personal finance, mindset and wealth creation, then do subscribe to my channel and hit the bell next to the subscribe button for plenty more videos just like this one. Okay, let's get into this then. So the first mistake that a lot of people make when doing their savings is not knowing what their interest rate is. Now, they often say that ignorance is bliss, but I don't believe that that's true. I think that ignorance is just kind of not taking responsibility, burying your head in the sand, and it's keeping you poor as well. So why would you do it? As I've often said before, the 2 keys to wealth are taking responsibility and being in control of your finances. So responsibility and control, 2 really, really important things there. So I would say definitely take control and find out what your interest rate is. Now, bank interest rates are incredibly low at the moment. Even the best savings rates are low. In fact, one of my bank savings rates is gone down to 0.01%. They wrote to me about 2 weeks ago and told me that, and I thought, goodness, it was 0.1% before, now it's gone down to 0.01%. And what does that mean? Well, that means that if I have £1,000 saved in my bank, over the course of 1 whole year, my money is going to go up by 10p. 10 pence, that's all. Okay, so at the end of that 1 year, I'll have £1,000 that I saved plus 10p. So £1,000 and 10p, which is rubbish, isn't it? You know, I'm sure there are way better things that we can do with our money than put them into a rubbish savings account. So we need to understand what our interest rate is to make sure that we don't fall into that trap. Obviously, the higher the interest rate, the better it will be for you and for your money, which leads me quite nicely onto mistake number 2 that people make often, which is that they don't shop around. Now, it's a good idea to shop around when you're looking at bank savings. What I see many people do is to put all their money in their bank and then just leave it there for 10, 20 odd years, and it's not doing anything. Certainly if it's at the very, very low interest rates, then it's not going to be growing as much as it possibly can be. So again, this is where responsibility and control comes into it. You want to take responsibility for your money, take it out of that low paying bank account and move it into something that is much higher paying. Now, whether you get a better deal or not will depend on a number of factors, including how much money you have, how long you want to keep your money in the bank account for, and how quickly you want to get it out again. Because remember, if you're keeping your money in long term, there may be fees involved if you do want to be able to get your money out again. If you want instant access to your money, then your savings rates might not be quite so favourable. So there's lots of pros and cons and things that you need to think about when looking at switching your account. But it's a really good idea just to check it all out and make sure that you find the account that works the best for you. Now, for me personally, I don't keep a vast amount of money in the bank. I keep in my emergency fund that I need just in case something happens, and I also keep the money that obviously I want to be using and paying things on a regular basis. So I don't have a vast amount in the bank in the first place, but what I do is I use a mix of my easy access instant savings account and sort of longer term savings as well. The third mistake that people make when looking at their savings is actually to put their savings in the bank in the first place. There are plenty of other places that it would probably rather be, and certainly would make you more money than putting them into the bank. Now, we've said just before that bank interest rates are ridiculously low at the moment. Now, why exactly is that then? Well, it's because of the central banks and the way that they set their interest rates. So at the moment, our bank, the Bank of England, sets the interest rate, and that is currently at 0.1%. So it's the lowest it's ever been in history at the moment. In the USA, you guys have the Federal Reserve, and they set the federal funds rate, which is currently at 0.25%, which again is incredibly low at the moment. Now, bank savings, whilst not always directly linked to those central bank rates, are very closely associated with them, which means that if the central bank rate goes down, so too does our bank savings, and likewise if the central bank rate goes up, then so too does our savings rate. So at the moment, bank savings rates are ridiculously low because so are the central bank rates. However, if we go back to the early 1980s, for example, here in the UK, the interest rates were around 16-17% in the early 80s, which was a fantastic time to be saving your money in the bank. And you'll often hear people say, "Ooh, low interest rates, that's great news for borrowers, but rubbish for savers." And of course, that's absolutely true, isn't it? Because if I were going to borrow some money, I would want the interest rate to be as low as it possibly could be, because that way it's cheaper for me to borrow a big amount of money. However, if I've got my savings in the bank, I don't want the interest rate to be low because I'm not going to be earning anything on that money. So again, I want the interest rates to be very high if I want to save my money. So if we save at a low rate, we're not really making any money at all. The other thing we have to think about when looking at our bank savings is inflation. Inflation is the measure of the changing cost of living, and it's based on what the government call a basket of goods. Now here in the UK we have 700 different things that the government has put into this basket of goods, and it includes things like food, furniture, clothing and tech products. Even Amazon's Alexa is in the basket of goods. And the government look at this basket of goods and see how much the prices increase by year on year. If the cost of the basket of goods goes up, the cost of living goes up, which means that our money in the bank is not worth as much in the future as it is today. Now the real kicker here is that the government's benchmark for inflation is 2%. Okay, so the governments have a target of 2% for inflation. That's both here in the UK and in the USA. Okay, our inflation targets are exactly the same at 2%. And what that means is that if I have my money in the bank at 0.01% and inflation is going up at 2% and the cost of living is rising by 2%, what that means is that this time next year, my money that I had in the bank is actually going to have lost 1.99% because the money won't go as far as it did today. But basically, if I leave my money in the bank, I'm going to be losing money because the cost of living is going to be taking over and my money is not going to go as far in the future as it will today. Okay, so that might well be another nail in the coffin for your bank savings. So what can you do instead then? Well, I would say definitely if you can get a better savings rate, certainly one that is above the inflation rate, then try and put your bank savings into that if you have to keep them in the bank. Now, if you don't want to keep your money in the bank, I would recommend at this point paying down any debt that you might have, which is a good idea as well. So any credit card debt, any loans that you might have had, I've done videos about this before, so you can have a look at those as to which debt you should pay off first and so on. Pay some debts down, because even though interest rates are so low at the moment, what it means is that you're not repaying as much in interest. So actually it's a good time to be paying your loans down now, otherwise interest rates will go up and you'll end up paying more in interest. So while you can actually get the balance down, I would say try and do that where you possibly can. And that's things like your credit cards and loans, also your home mortgage as well. So if you've still got a home mortgage outstanding, I would say try and pay some of that down if you can as well. That will stand you in very good stead for years to come. Now, if you don't want to keep all your money in the bank and you haven't got any debts to pay off, or you don't want to pay your debts down right now, then I would say definitely the next thing you should be doing is looking at investing your money. So for me personally, I invest in stocks and shares, I invest in property, which I'm incredibly passionate about. I have a portfolio of property all around the UK. I would say definitely invest where you possibly can. Okay, and I'm going to do plenty more videos on investing and wealth creation as well. So again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that now and hit the bell next to the subscribe button so that you get notified as to when those new videos are coming out. I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys, and learning about those 3 ways and savings mistakes that you guys are now not going to make for yourselves. Do join me in the upcoming videos, and in the meantime, have a watch of these 2 videos just over here. I think you'll really enjoy those ones. And until next time, guys, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.